For the first time all season, we've gotten a look at the Philadelphia 76ers on the court playing live game basketball as the preseason has opened with a matchup with the New York Knicks that did not go as expected. Now, while we're not going to dive into the hard-hitting takes for what was a preseason game without Joel Embiid, without Paul George, without Jared McCain, without Quentin Grimes, without Trendon Watford here, I still think it was nice to see what this team looked like on the floor to some extent here. Apologies for a bit of a delay on recording here. The power went out at my house yesterday. Have been without it for about 24 hours. I'm into work early here, recording before my full shift starts to make sure I get something on. So the scheduling or posting schedule that I had in mind has gotten a little bit thrown off because of this. Tried to record in the dark last night, tried everything I could to make it happen, but nonetheless, we're here this morning and rocking. So let's get right into what did go down yesterday, or what in the preseason opener, which I did get a chance to watch live, and was a 99-84 victory by the New York Knicks there. A game that was far worse than the score does indicate there. VJ Edgecombe leading the team in scoring with 14.6 rebounds and 3 assists there. Dominic Barlow, some nice moments that he ultimately had 10 rebounds, 6 points there in his 30 minutes of play. I believe he led the team in that category there. We also got 14 points from Tyrese Maxey. It was nice to see Tyrese Maxey looking like Tyrese Maxey, but I will say that the team stats breakdown, I think, tell the story of this matchup a little bit more. And what those are exactly there, some ugly shooting splits. That from the floor, the Sixers shooting 27 of 78 there. That comes out to 34.6%. From beyond the three-point arc, even more impressively bad. That the Philadelphia 76ers connecting on just 3 of their 35 long-range shots there. That comes out to a grand total of 8.6%. Yeah, you are not going to win very many basketball games when that is the case, and I think ultimately that is where this game did come and go. And also being out-rebounded 58-46 there. That is going to be a storyline that we're on top of and monitoring from start to finish. I will say, after watching that game, I do feel slightly better about the power forward outlook. That I know that is a huge concern coming into the season, and certainly not something I feel solidified into this point. But I saw some nice flashes from Dominic Barlow, from Jabari Walker, Trendon Watford. I do think it's going to be a huge, important piece to this Sixers team. So I'm not in panic mode about that. But nonetheless, to throw a little bit more clarity on just how extreme that three-point shooting performance was, that Derek Barnard tweets out that the Sixers have attempted at least 29 threes in a game 572 times per stat head. They've made at least 5 threes in 571 of those 572 games, with the worst being a 4 for 31 performance during the 25-26 or 15-16 season. They're currently shooting 2 of 29 from 3 and ultimately finishing shooting a 8.6%. So yeah, this was a historically bad three-point performance here. Not anything that I'm panicked about in a long-term sense here. What I will say is this did feel like a three-point problem to me, that typically I think you can kind of throw these into two different categories. That in one hand, you're just missing shots, that the process for getting them is still looking proper, you're creating good looks. That did not feel like the case to me in this preseason opener, that it did not feel like they were getting good three-point looks. I thought the process of creating these shot opportunities felt a little bit broken to me. But again, not anything that I'm panicking about after one preseason game here against the New York Knicks without several of your better players there. So again, this is what it is. It was nice to just get a nice look at people. And to go to some of my overall takeaways for this game, didn't want to pull off my first half takeaways, which I felt far better about the game as a whole when clocking out of this one at halftime. An ugly second half where things really fell apart. But nonetheless, my way too early takeaways. VJ Edgecombe is way more than just an insane athlete. The basketball feel and smoothness stand out. And this is something that's incredibly encouraging to me. Is a lot of times I think when you think about a player like VJ Edgecombe, the appeal to him is just this freak athleticism. That this dude can jump higher than you, he can run faster than you, he can, reach a level athletically that very few can. That from day one in the NBA, VJ Edgecombe is going to be one of the top 10 percentile athletes. That's how good that he's going to be just in his physical tools there. But he's not just that guy there. There is a basketball sense to him, a smoothness to the way that he goes about. He had a really nice alley-oop to Adem Bona, which just the IQ and ability to pull that off is something that did stand out to me, and I think we're going to see that on full display. And to Edgecombe directly here, the opportunity is yours, my friend. That with Jared McCain on the sideline, Quentin Grimes has not been around this team. He really does have the clear path to earning his chance here. Now, what I will also say to that same point is it felt very obvious to me in that preseason opener that they are missing the offensive production that they're going to need from both Quentin Grimes and Jared McCain. That there is a clear role that needs to be filled within the offense for, I don't want to say a shot chucker, but a guy that can be sort of the offensive engine. They need those guys to be that within the offense, and I do think ultimately that will be the case. Now, to keep moving it down, my takeaways, it was nice to see Tyrese Maxey look like Tyrese Maxey, and I know obviously he did not play much in the second half. This was just sort of a taste, a tease to see what we've got and make sure that he's back on the floor. It felt like there was a bit more of an increase in the quick twitch that I think Maxey, I don't want to say that he lost some burst, because any way you slice it, he's one of the quickest and fastest players in the entire NBA, but it did not feel like he was the fastest last year in the way that I think there have been stretches where it has been the case throughout his NBA career to this point here. He felt back, he felt locked in, he felt quick, and I thought he really made some things happen there. So it was nice to see him play with confidence, and just, he falls into that category of player to me that is just a joy to watch play basketball sometimes, and I felt like that during the first half of yesterday. So it was nice to see from Tyrese Maxey. The need for Jared McCain and Quentin Grimes is clear, as I sort of mentioned there. Just more offensive production that they need. Feel a little bit better about the power forward outlook. I think each of these guys showed some flashes. It is going to be competitive to see ultimately who reigns supreme in that competition. And Nick Nurse being pretty direct and open that it is still for the taking. Each of these guys have had their moments. I want to also add, Adem Bona foul issues are just going to be a thing. In general, I'm pretty open-minded and not critical of backup centers with foul problems here. We've lived through the B-ball Paul experience, which was certainly right in the forefront of our face of him having those type of foul problems there. The thing that I will say about Bona, if we are going to have this push for you scaling up your role, which should be the goal this year, when you factor in with Joel Embiid's injury issues in mind, who knows how much he's going to play. Andre Drummond certainly on the backside of his career and not looking like the best version of himself as a basketball player. If you want to be capable of logging more minutes on the floor, there's got to be a bit better processing of when to foul and when not to. He picked up 2 fouls in the first minute in the preseason opener. That just can't happen, man. And for the most part, his fouls aren't that egregious to me. I respect that you want to go up and block every single shot. Just the decision-making needs to be reined in slightly. This is not a lane that I like to be critiquing guys, because in general, I want you to leave it all on the floor. And for a backup center, if you want to use all your 5 fouls in the max of 15 minutes that you're going to play, be my guest here. There is not a pathway to you playing more than that. Before Bona, I kind of see the pathway to him playing more than that. I see these skill sets developing. You just got to make sure that you can be available to that extent. So we'll bookmark that conversation. This isn't something that I want to be majorly critical of a guy on. That's not something that bothers me in the way that I think it is for a lot of people. But for Bona directly, it would certainly do him a lot of good to be able to rein in those foul issues to an extent. Then to continue on, Kelly Oubre Jr. has been a tone setter from an effort standpoint and need to get Justin Edwards back on the right track. And I do want to use these 2 points to base off each other, as I do think they're quite, they contrast each other quite directly, these 2 players. For Kelly Oubre Jr., I first want to start by rating the praises of him picking up full court at the start of preseason game number 1. That meant a little something to me, and he was cooking at the start of that game, generating steals, creating fast break, really wrecking some havoc in a way that I think set the tone for this Sixers team. I know he's going to be a lot of years' least favorite player on this team. I like Kelly. Kelly's a foxhole guy to me, a dude that I want on my corner when I'm going to war, and I appreciated what he brought to the table here. Now, what I will also say is why I think Kelly Oubre Jr. is a contrast to this guy, Justin Edwards, is Justin Edwards is a guy who consistently plays right within his proper box. Kelly Oubre Jr. does not quite fit that description here. They need to find a way to get Justin Edwards back on the right track. This is now several different settings where he is yet to look like a competent NBA player. That I've not seen this guy play good basketball since last season, since he was playing actual NBA basketball. In Summer League, did not look the part. In preseason, has not looked the part. I will say, in the preseason for Game 1, thus far, it mostly felt like missing shots, not him doing anything wrong or being in the wrong spot or anything like that. But I would just like to see a couple convincing Justin Edwards performances of, okay, the guy that we saw last year, yeah, that was real. He's still here. This is what he looks like. That would mean something a little bit to me. But nonetheless, it is still just preseason game 1. Not time to panic whatsoever. And I will say, VJ Edgecombe, some pretty cool moments after the game as he was asked about getting Vince Carter as a player comparison from, I believe this was the NBA reporter from China here with the question talking about that. And VJ, a cool response that he did have, he said, that's elite comp, but I'm VJ, man. And I think that is the right head on your shoulders approach. So a win to see VJ Edgecombe play actual basketball for the Sixers team, not a win in the actual box score itself. They're going to be back in action tomorrow against the Knicks once again, out there in Abu Dhabi, and then coming back to the United States, where we begin to ramp forward. We are less than, or roughly 2 weeks until the actual NBA season starts, which is insane to think about to this point. Hopefully Quentin Grimes back in the fall, and we have an update that he will be back in the mix once that the full games do start counting He is officially under contract and everything trending in that direction, but it does seem like they're waiting until the team returns to the States to begin introducing him. But do want to hear from you guys. What were your thoughts of that preseason game? Was this a feeling to you of New Year, same thing, or are you still open-minded? For me personally, the fact when you consider how many guys are missing and everything else, it is what it is. I can roll with that. It was nice to see them on the floor, and we'll see what happens from here. But drop those thoughts below. Appreciate you guys to tune into Sixers Digest as always. If you have not already, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Drop a like on this video here. I'll be back to talk with you next time. Peace.